Hey, Biff, what's a plumber's least favorite vegetable?
What is a plumber's least favorite vegetable, Jacques?
Leeks. I hear it's a vegetable. I don't know for sure.
Links?
Leeks?
Leeks. Oh,
Yes.
leeks.
You
Yeah,
know, see, the
sure.
whole joke is the leek is a
Leeks.
vegetable, but a
Yeah,
leak from a
it's a
pipe.
homonym. Yeah,
See,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah, great.
It
Yeah.
sounds the same, but different meaning.
Leeks. Leeks. Yeah.
All right, this is an easier one, I hope. Biff, what do you have when life gives you melons?
What do you give when life gives you melons, Jacques?
Dyslexia. You see, because the joke is usually, what do you get when life gives you a lemon? See, a melon, so dyslexia. Anyways, hello, everybody. Welcome to Carnival Personnel.
No! Where's Joe? Joe!
Joe is in Connecticut at the Retro World Gaming. We went last year, and he told me the other day, it's like, yeah, him and his boys were going down to Hartford and I went with my boys last year. I'm like, wait, that wasn't a year ago. He goes, no, it was like 9 months ago. For some reason, they moved it up.
Okay.
But he's down there, trying to round out his ColecoVision 2,800 games or something like that. So,
you want to go and visit Sod too while you're there?
Had I gone down, I would have tried to reach out to Sod. For the three listeners who don't know Sod, an ex Friday Night Hockey alum, top 5 wingnuts of all time. Like if we did a bracket, if we did the March Madness 64 team bracket of the craziest people from the years at F&H, Sod rounds out the top 5, right? Top 10 for sure.
Top 10 for sure. I mean, pretty sure that there's a guy that lost the lawsuit to the dead guy is in there. And
yeah.
The guy with the tattoo, a sunflower tattoo on his back is probably in there.
Yeah.
Right. So those are I think those are the two kind of, they're like the
Mike Britton,
Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr of Friday Night Hockey.
Mike Britton.
Yeah, Mike. Okay.
Mike.
I wasn't going to mention actual names.
Yeah,
Josh, but
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Mike Britton finding me and killing. Anyways,
it's not so much about it's just a courtesy thing, Jacques. It really is just a courtesy thing.
Yeah. So I apologize to the murderer, Mike. Anyways, that said, we don't have a sideshow this week, but the boys go back to school this week, and I've literally been half slacking and half just being busy as fuck with lots of travel and the wife traveling. I mean, it has been a crazy last 4 months as far as that goes. But I want to get back into doing sideshows, talking to more comics. Now that I again am doing stand-up comedy officially. Yeah. I have more street cred. Talking comic to comic with these people.
Street cred.
Stage cred. But I do. Going forward. Maybe not the next couple of weeks, because there is one more planned trip, and that's back to LA in a few weeks. Third time is the charm. This time for 3 nights of Duran Duran at the Hollywood Bowl in a couple of weeks.
So wait, how many nights are you going to be here, and how many of those nights are spent at Duran Duran?
Honestly, I think because the boys are back in school and the wife has to work, I think it's just a 4-day trip with 3 shows. Like we might get in on Friday and she'll go to the show on Friday and I'll go to F&H.
Right.
50-50 if I go with her on Saturday. I will go to the last show because it's the last show of the tour.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So and I tell you, dude, I gotta give it up to management, who is just hardcore.
No, that's cool, right? I mean, well, after the last 2 years, you know what, like you might as well do it, right? Just freaking do it. Right? All those things, blah blah blah. I don't know if I should. Yeah, just
There was a couple tours that she was going to go see in 2019 with other artists. She would never miss Duran Duran, but she's like, yeah, maybe I'll see him next time. Well, I got some things going on. once COVID hit and 2 years of planning in 2020 went down the drain, and then when all the planning for 2021 didn't happen, and look, first world problems. Oh, woe's me! I don't get to go to Ibiza for another year. But she's like, I'm not missing shows. So the other day, it kind of worked out where her work family, a couple of the two kids were sick, and the wife, the mom tells management, it's like, oh, don't come in tomorrow, just take the day off.
Right.
And she was like, oh, she hummed and hawed about doing it. I'm like, you got to do it. Biff, she powered through it. She drove.
Yeah.
She left about 2:00, 1:00. Got down to Madison Square Garden.
Right. Yeah.
Walked up to the ticket office. You can always get a single seat, and she really wanted to see him at Madison Square Garden. They sold out Madison Square Garden. Yep. So great. Got a great seat. They did a 2-hour show, and usually they're about a 90-minute band. They're usually about a 90-minute band. Okay. So she was so psyched, drove home, got home at 4 a.m, left for work at 6:30 or 7:00. Like, slept for 3 hours, like she's in her 20s, and it was a long day, a lot of coffee, but she got through it, and she's like, so, and I'm so jacked she did it. But as far as me, I'll go to the Sunday, or I think it's Sunday. I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. And I will go to the last show. Like I said, last show of the tour. So it's great. She hasn't been to LA. She went in 2019, but she was only there a few days when the boys and I were out there. Yeah. But this is my third trip. And I'm either going to go the day we're going to go together. And here's the crazy thing. I was just thinking about this. It's been 10 years since just her and I were on a plane or a trip together.
Right. Yeah.
She's done a lot of traveling. I've done a lot of traveling. We've done some traveling as a family, but this is and it's like, I was thinking the last time was 10 years ago. I took, and it was a work thing. It was like I took Melora Hardin, Jan from The Office to do
right. Yeah.
An anthem for the Dolphins. And it was just I think we were on the ground 48 hours, maybe, and of which 8 was taken up by the game.
Right.
But yeah, so I'll be coming out, and I left my gear there, so I will have another triumphant, skate with you and All-Star Tommy and Scotty.
Yeah, triumphant's an interesting selection of words, but sure.
Dude, that last game, I think that second assist that I had was just, I think there's still buzz. There's still buzz, in the Valencia Greater Six Flag area about that, that outlet pass that led to that big
all
goal.
I can say is that, coincidence, not coincidence, I don't know, but, like right after you were on that skate, they redid that Olympic ice. I don't know if there was some damage that you caused to that ice or something, but that ice was resurfaced after you left. So might be coincidence. Might not be.
It's my power of skating that just digs into the ice, and I must have cracked one.
Sure, power skating. Sure,
hey, this week, Biff, I won Twitter this week.
Congratulations!
Thank you. I'm waiting for my plaque in the mail on the same day. On the same day. Both Emo Phillips,
nice.
And in a second tweet, the great Dave Foley of Kids in the Hall liked tweets of mine.
That's I think that that's pretty good. But I think that when it comes down to it, unless you get unless you get Mark Hamill, I think that's, you have to withhold any Twitter victory until you get that Mark Hamill like. I think that's really, that's the one that you're waiting for.
It's funny that you mentioned Mark Hamill, because inexplicitly, my little guy, a few weeks ago, with all the things he battles with, OCD and ADHD, he toggles between things. And for about 3 months, we almost had to declare bankruptcy because of his Lego habit.
Right.
And the past few weeks, it's been about, for some reason, and I don't know what he saw on YouTube or what somebody mentioned, and it wasn't me, but out of the blue, he wants a real lightsaber. One of these, not real lightsabers. I mean, gosh, I get one of those if they were real lightsaber.
That's
but one of those $200-$300 ones.
Right. One of the kind of the high-end collectible shit.
Yeah,
right?
and he wanted to go to Disney and get when we were out there. And I'm like, you know what? We'll go to Disney next year, but right now it's just the ticket prices are crazy. It's $1,000 for one day. You know, where we used to get passes for $1,000 a few years ago. So I'm like, yeah. But he when he gloms onto something, he can't let go of it. And last night and today, you know, management is back in Chicago for work. He decides he wants to watch the original trilogy. So in the last 24 hours, we've watched A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and we took a break to do this podcast because we were halfway through Return of the Jedi. And just out of nowhere. So when you mentioned a Mark Hamill, it's just kind of funny that it's been a Mark Hamill weekend, you know, for us. And it's great. Yeah. But yes, so I
like, you know, for me, like, I know, you know, obviously you don't care about these metal guys, but I have gotten an actual thank you from the Billy Sheehan, who is considered to be like one of the greatest heavy metal bassists of all time. He was in David Lee Roth's band when he had that briefly, but so I've gotten a thank you from David Lee Roth, and I've gotten replies from Marty Friedman, Megadeth's guitar string. Their what's considered their biggest era, you know, and Mike Portnoy, the drummer from Dream Theater, also responded to my thing. So I got beyond just a like from my, you know, from my.
Well, that is awesome. I
actually don't care that much. I just know that it happened. It's like
it is nice.
I was just kind of surprised that they bothered, right? That's really more than anything else. And I think that's cool that you know, and obviously like different people have different ranges of how much they bother to respond to some of these, right? But you know, I think it's, you know, it is always cool when some of these people are just actually bothering to respond, right?
Right. No, it's you know, well, I mean, Joe was quick to point out, hey, it's not like Emo Phillips likes every tweet he's mentioned in, because he does like every tweet he's mentioned in. But you know what? The fact that Dave Foley, you know, responded to a tweet, because you know he had put they're doing a fan expo. He's like, I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, and I wrote, everybody, even Phil from the warehouse, the one with the pains in his head, which is an obscure reference to a lesser known skit that they had. So, so you know, so the fact that he liked that. So we don't have Joe joining us, which is a bummer because last weekend was another one of those. I don't know if I told you, and I forget the guy's name. You, of course, maybe know it. The guy is famous for being the saxophone player in the Lost Boys. And management went to see him at Ralph's in Worcester, and look, there's a show on Netflix called.
This is the saxophone like Lost Boys is in the movie.
Yeah. There's a scene. There's a scene where he's on screen for like 11 seconds, and truly, it is his super overtime winning field goal kick to win a Super Bowl. He's made a whole career out of it, and so he was at Ralph's. 200 people. I think it holds like 100 inside, so they moved it outside. They show Lost Boys, and then he does a 45-minute set playing saxophone along to, some of the songs that he's recorded with famous people. And, so the guy's like in his mid-60s and he's eking out a living, and he wears this absolutely over-the-top, hysterical Spinal Tap codpiece. Just this big black jock strap on the outside of his jeans. And it's funny because, management and her friend thought it was hilarious. And then we watched the show. Somebody told her, he explains why he wears it on there's a Netflix show called How It Was Worn, or, I'll post what it was. But basically it was like a 20-minute little documentary on him. And it was fascinating. And you kind of feel bad. He's one of these guys who, like a pro athlete who was in the limelight forever, and then the limelight goes away.
Sure, yeah.
Like he was a saxophone player for 15 years with Tina Turner.
Oh, okay.
Just doing state and all these things where he's doing stadium tours with her. And in the 80s, saxophone was big in music, In Excess, and Duran Duran has a saxophone player. I mean, it was a prominent instrument in the 80s,
Well, I mean, freaking Bruce Springsteen, right?
Right. Thank you. Right. The big man, like Clarence.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Clarence. And then it goes, and it's like, and then it just went away. It's like when you see the documentary on the metal guys talking about.
I think you have to blame Nirvana for that, right?
Well, that's the funny thing.
Listen. Dave Grohl has actually done stuff that is metal and done stuff with metal musicians, but has he created any music with a saxophonist?
No,
I don't think so.
Nope.
I don't think so.
Finger could be pointed squarely at Mr. David Grohl.
I think it's Nirvana's fault.
Well, it's funny because Nirvana used that famous documentary. I forget what metal guy it was who was talking about the day, Smells Like Teen Spirit hit MTV. It was the death of hair metal, and
I'll say that I do remember George Lynch saying that in the VH1 documentary. So George Lynch, of course George Lynch as the lead guitarist for Dokken.
Duh.
I know I don't have to tell you that.
Dude, what do you think that poster behind me is?
Yeah, right.
And anyway, yes, but she went and saw that, and it was great. Oh. But yeah, so anyway, so Joe came over. And the last time Joe came over, our friend Sully, friend of the podcast, we watched Cannonball Run. I can't say how glorious it was. It was just so. I mean, between the misogyny, between the racism, between the it's great because Jackie Chan is driving a car. And his engineer is Japanese, and they're yelling at each other in Japanese and Mandarin, and it's like they understand each other. Of course, they both are speaking completely different languages, but it was great. And then they're the ones that started the blooper.
That one, right?
Farrah Fawcett wasn't that, and she's kidnapped by Burt Reynolds,
right?
But then, of course, falls in love with him, like the Stockholm syndrome, But hey, it was Burt Reynolds at the height of his career, so who wasn't in love with him? But so Joe comes over, and we're going back and forth about, hey, let's watch this. I didn't want to watch. He hasn't seen Smokey and the Bandit either, but I wanted to save that for Mike. And then for some reason, I think we were talking about a guest on Conan's podcast this week, and then we fell down the rabbit hole of Conan holding hands. We watched Conan's first episode when he hosted Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
The first NBC.
The first NBC tonight. Yeah. John Goodman, and I see her. I'm like, oh gosh, she was in E.T. Woody owns
Drew
her.
Barrymore?
Drew Barrymore and Tony Randall. And right away, he had the great love-hate relationship with Tony Randall, like as a guest, like the adversarial relation from minute one, from absolute minute one, and it was great. And then we watched the first episode of The Tonight Show, and my little guy. Last time Joe came over, 2 times ago, Joe came over. We watched a documentary about the Drew Carey Show, the sketch comedy show.
Yeah, right.
And there was a scene in that Joe's seen the documentary. He's seen this footage before, but one little clip hurt him so much, like laughing. Like in the 30 plus years I've known Joe, I never heard Joe laugh that long and that hard. Well, this time it was my turn, and I've seen it before, but for the Tonight Show, it's the very first thing. It starts off Conan waking up in bed, and he has his checklist, like, write jokes, do this. And then he's scrolling down slowly, and he's like, move to Los Angeles. And he looks out the window, and he's looking at the Empire State Building. And then he runs downstairs to hail a cab. He can't get a cab. So he just starts running across America. And dude, the money that they spent to shoot, this wasn't green screened. They drove across the country and just shot him. Like there's a drone or there's no drone. So this was a helicopter shot, him running across like one of the big bridges leave out of Manhattan. Right. And it's a close up on him, and then it pulls out and it's a helicopter shot. He's running by the Ark in St. Louis. He's running, and then he's running down the street and runs into Wrigley Field. And it cuts to him running across the field in the middle of the game with security chasing him. And for some reason, that struck me in a way that I'm screaming. My little guy, stops his stops his online Fortniting and runs upstairs to see what the hell's going on. And then he runs through Vegas, and then he's running down the 10. There's another great they prop a camera down Hollywood Boulevard. It starts on a close-up, and it pulls out him running down the middle of the street past the Capitol building, and then he gets to the stage, and he goes to open the door, and it's locked, and he can't find the key, and then it cuts to his key sitting on his table back in you. But so we watched that. Then we watched the last episode of the Tonight Show, which is one of the greatest moments of TV. It was so hard to watch. It was so bittersweet. And it's funny because everybody in the world was pissed and expecting Conan to kind of burn the village down on the way out. Right. And instead, he completely went the other way. He goes, look, I'm sad. And he goes, but I never in my wildest dreams expected to host the Tonight Show. And, NBC was my home forever. I wrote on Saturday Night Live. They gave me my own show when nobody thought they should have. That show was wonderful. They gave me this chance. So I'm thankful for the opportunities I had. And then we watched the first TBS show.
Okay. So before in between, you didn't watch the Conan appearance on Letterman?
We did not watch that, but in between, in real time, in real life, both Joe and Boston management and I at the what was the amphitheater, the Universal Amphitheater? We saw Conan when he did his tour, when he's like, and it was like not legally allowed to be on TV for 7 months tour, something like that.
But you've seen his appearance on Letterman, right?
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's absolutely great. And both those guys, it's stunning. It's like, I don't blame Jay Leno for taking Dave's job in the first place. I mean,
okay.
well, look, Dave thought he was getting it. Johnny Carson wanted him to get it, but the network made a decision. And what was Leno?
You're right.
What was Leno going to do? Say, no, I'm not going to take it.
Well, it's not so much. I think it's some of the stuff that kind of occurred in the background to essentially kind of insert himself there, right?
Right.
So,
but what I do really fault him on is taking Conan's job.
Well, that one was awesome.
That makes him a douchebag. Both Jay Leno and Michael Chiklis, alum of my same Andover High School, different years, but yeah, so that was such a douchebag move to do that.
By the way, I don't think I ever told you this, but I once saw Michael Chiklis at the Burbank skating rink. Like he was there for public skating. He was like, and I'm thinking, I recognize you, and I'm not gonna fucking out you because, oh my god, you look like hell on ice. But we kind of met eyes, and he kind of realized, I know who you. He realized that I knew who he was. Right. And I just kind of said. Gave him a nod, and he just went on his merry way.
Was he with himself? Was he skating with his kids or something?
Yeah, it looked like. I presume that was his family that he was with, right? But it was one of those situations where James was taking skating lessons at that time. So essentially, we had the skating lesson, and right after that, you could stick around for the public skate after that. So that's what we were doing. Was that?
No, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's hilarious. It's like, okay, dude. I'm sorry you're subjected to do this for your family, and I hope nobody recognizes you because you look awful, and man, that would be embarrassing.
So, the other thing that Joe and I, because it was one of those things. Joe shows up at like 7, and he watched TV with me till 3 in the morning.
Right.
And we watched a few episodes of MTV's Remote Control.
Fantastic show. I used to be so good at that show.
So great. So much fun. I mean,
there was one episode where like everybody sucked, and they tossed all the contestants out, and they brought in brand new contestants. And then this one woman that went to the final one had one act to name, and I was screaming the answer on the TV because I'm an idiot like that. And like she had like 15 seconds left, or some like unusual amount of time. She was just bang, 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 bang. And then that one video she couldn't get.
What
So
was it?
it was I don't know if you know who this guy is. He's a blues guitarist named Robert Cray.
I wouldn't have got it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah.
It's funny. One guy won a car, and it was what is honestly looked like a moped. Like and it's like I'd be like, no thanks, I'll take the bus home. So we watched Remote Control. One episode. Who hosted the Newlyweds game?
You thinking about Chuck Woolery?
But no, not Chuck Woolery. That's 2 and 2. That's Love Connection.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Newlywed Game was. I see the guy's face and I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Anyways, he co-hosted an episode with Ken Ober and was coaching him about how bad he is of a host the whole time and how to take over. It was fun.
Is it
Eubanks? It was Bob Eubanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Joe will be pissed I forgot that, but it was Eubanks. And then, if that wasn't good enough, the one thing that we watched, look, I would just go back. Anybody listening, take the 5 minutes and watch the opening sequence of Conan's first night on his own show on Late Night with Conan O'Brien. Right. That was great. That was really, really great. He's walking down the street and everybody from the newspaper handler to girls playing hopscotch are like, you better be as good as Letterman. You better be as good as Letterman. Then he goes to hang himself in the dressing room, but they knock on the door and like, you're on, Conan. It's like, do I have a couple minutes? And they're like, no, you got to go on right now. And he's like dejected. He can't hang himself. Yeah. But when he gets to NBC, when he gets to 30 Rock, he gets off the elevator and Tom Brokof's there. And he's like, hey, I just want to be the first to wish you the best of luck. And then Conan's like, oh, thank you, Mr. Brokaw. And he walks away and Brokof's like, oh, and Conan, you better be as good as Letterman. And he has a bunch of crackers in his hand and he like crumbles them else. He goes, or else, it's funny. But then
you know what was kind of sad about some of these, and I know why it all happened, but like Brian Williams used to be a great guest.
Oh, when he used to do the slow jam, the news.
But not just that, but just when he would just sit down and start and talk.
Funny,
he was just
funny as hell.
Guy.
Timing, great comedic timing.
Right. I mean, and he deserved what he got for that whole basically right. You can't pass yourself off as a journalist and kind of fake being somewhere where he wasn't kind of stuff, right? So I get it, but I was just one of those situations where I was just genuinely sad that even though I agreed that he deserved the cancellation, and I don't think we called it that back then, but
no.
But and also and going back to Remote Control, so are like all the episodes on?
They're all out there. Yeah, they're
I gotta start watching that. I used to watch,
but I think they're also on Buzzr or something like that. Joe instantly, but Joe wanted to watch that episode with the guest host and stuff.
Right. Well, because and then. That was the first time I saw like Dennis Miller and Adam Sandler.
Yeah, right? There was something like Colin Quinn was the announcer.
Co-host. Yeah.
So the other thing that Joe and I watched that I recommend to everybody, I thought I would like it. We said, oh, you know what? We'll watch the first like 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll get into watching a movie or something. We watched the entire thing. The South Park 25th anniversary concert.
Oh, I know about it, but I never watched it. Yeah.
Live concert at Red Rocks.
Right, yeah.
And it was truly like a homecoming for these guys. Like they grew up in the shadows. Their college is truly in the shadows of Red Rocks. On one side of the stage was Primus.
Yeah.
On the other side of the stage was Ween. And then Matt and Trey were in the middle, and Trey Parker played piano for, I'm going to say 75% of the concert. Matt toggled between playing guitar and playing drums. And it was really, really, really a sweet moment where unbeknownst to Matt, as a thank you for all the years of being my friend and doing this together with me, Trey Parker brought out Geddy Lee and Alex Leiferson.
Nice. Yeah.
And he got to play drums to Closer to the Heart.
Nice.
So he got to play. I mean, it was like you could just tell he had no idea this was about to happen.
Every once in a while, those kinds of things are great, right? It's like what's that guy's name? Adam Scott from Adam Scott, who was in the Parks and Recs with and have you seen that episode where he talked to, where, and it was what's
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, right?
Mark Hamill. It was on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel Live, but what's her face was guest hosting.
Right.
I can't remember her name now, but
And he talked about having written a letter.
Yeah, I'm sure he was busy that day, and like you could really tell that it's like, like he's clearly shaken, right? I mean, it's like, you could tell like he is fighting tears at that point.
And when a story, so here's, what can Matt Stone do that he hasn't done? He's won a Tony. He's won a Grammy. He was nominated for an Oscar. Yep. He's had a hit show that's lasted 25 seasons, and to get to play with his favorite band. You know what I mean? It was just so. It was wonderful. It was really, and dude, I mean, I haven't watched like the last, let's say, 21 years of that show.
Sure, yeah.
But the songs and the bigger. But they had a whole, like, orchestra people. They had like 8 background. It was a great concert. Like, as a concert goes, it was a great concert.
Right. Yeah.
But it was absolutely everything that you could have hoped for. Everything you could have hoped for, with guest appearances, with everything. So it was one of those nights where, management sometimes, I think, gets a little jealous how much Joe and I like the same things, and that we can sit there for like 9 hours and just watch the dumbest stuff.
I don't know why she can't like those amazing material herself. I mean, I don't know what her problem is. Honestly,
right? I think it's a her thing.
I mean, that's really that's the issue, right? That's the 100%.
Oh,
by the way, Trey Parker, I think he's a Kings fan.
Oh, great! And right. Yes, the Cartman thing.
And because I think I saw him at the. It must have been. I think that it was the 2012. On your birthday in 2012, I think I saw him in the stands. In the concourse as I was getting beer or something like that. So
that's awesome. No, and I love. And for people who don't know, people were surprised. There's this "Go Kings Go" thing that they get with Cartman. An animated thing where he harpoons a shark when they play the Sharks, or
I basically have my phone ready to try to record that every game that I go to, and I've gotten like maybe 6 or 7 of them.
And it's like, how can they afford that?
I put it up on YouTube. So, and
people are like, how can they afford that? It's like, he wants it. And it's funny because they explain how they got Primus to do and it's a funny, they had like $79 budgeted to do, and they got Primus for $79.
I could see Les Claypool doing that. Like, Les Claypool is he's a different cat, right? I mean, that dude is a different cat. I could see him doing it.
Dude, arguably their most famous song.
I mean,
I mean, that song gets played all the time 25 years later by everybody. Let's face it, South Park has a wider audience than Primus does. Primus is a great band, but I don't think people were tuning in to see Primus every week for 25. Anyway,
and want to speak and kind of just closing this off. Have you seen the Les Claypool talk about him failing or not failing? Failing's the wrong word, but not getting the Metallica gig.
No, is that great?
Oh, it's just so sad, and part of it is he another Bay Area guy, right? So apparently him and both I think a couple of guys in the band go back a long way, and so he did the audition and he thought he would he thought he had a good chance of getting it, and he didn't get it. So yeah,
I mean, well, to be the head guy in your own band or to be bass player in that. Oh, by the way, it's funny that you mentioned Metallica and we're talking about celebrities. Did you see this season of
probably not, but sure, go ahead.
Did you see this? You haven't seen Stranger Things?
I have to start it, so no.
Okay,
I do know that the Master of Puppets is trending.
Okay, without giving anything away, it's a kid in that video. A kid in the season plays that song,
right?
And so management showed me this clip. he was hanging out at a concert and he got to jam that in the rehearsal studio with them.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
It's very cool. It was very, very cool. And then he actually learned to play. It took him 2 years. Like he knew for because of COVID, shut it down.
Yeah.
So I think the idea was like, hey, you're going to play this song and, we're going to have cut to somebody else, like the close up of the finger work. Yeah. And but he had the extra time because of COVID. So he learned to play that song.
That's cool. Yeah.
And so they brought him in their rehearsal room and they played it with them. It's on YouTube. It's great. It's, just, search, Metallica, Stranger Things. It comes up. But those are nice. So let's move on to some other, stuff. While we're talking about music, Dee Snider.
Oh, fucking Dee Snider is hilarious.
Who won Twitter again? Not me. It wasn't me. I retract my statement. Me getting liked by a comment by Emo Phillips. Yeah. That's good for me.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's so like Dee Snider. And I don't know who the actual guy that tweets at him is. Where and Dee Snider has not surprisingly been critical of the previous regime and everything else, but then there is this one portion where some guy finds him doing a video finds him doing a performance where he's on stage with that other guy's the entire family. It looked like everybody's on stage. The junior and the guy that that always gets ignored, and Ivana and all that. Everybody's on stage, and he's doing "We're Not Gonna Take It," and some guy has the audacity, goes, "Hey, is that you?" And basically the idea of, oh yeah, you're a hypocrite. You were happy to share the stage with these guys, and the guys, and these, claps back and said, "Hey, listen, I was happy to do that, and I'm proud to do it." Freaking, because that raised another $50,000 extra dollars, because somebody was willing to pay $50,000 to have those guys on stage with him do this for a St. Jude's Hospital benefit. So this gave St. Jude's Hospital $50,000 extra dollars, and the guy's trying to clap him for it. It's like, I mean, what kind of a jerk would Dee Snider be if he's going to essentially say, yeah, I don't like these people, so I'm going to not get that extra $50K for all charities, freaking the St. Jude hospitals, right? I mean, place where kids get cancer treatments for free, right? And then he goes on to say, hey, as soon as these guys did, basically whatever else he did, he was immediately going to essentially criticize them for what they did. But I don't, obviously he doesn't apologize for that.
No, well, it was while that douchebag was just the host of The Apprentice. Yeah. It was before he ruined the country and single-handedly tries to destroy democracy. No, the tweet that I'm talking about is earlier in the week. Because people at QAnon rallies and at Trumpkin rallies keep playing "We're Not Going to Take It."
Right.
And so he tweeted out, I'm going to read it. All capital letters. Hey, idiots.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, fuck. Hold on. Nope. Somebody was okay. Hey, idiots. Read the first line. Oh, God damn it. No, this is everybody talking about it. Hold on. I got to find it but basically, he says, it's like, yeah, that song was written by a cross-dressing libtard. You are the people that I'm talking about that are trying to destroy, all the, like, he just goes on, like, just this great rant about, you are the people I'm talking about in the show. So
I gotta say, that is the kind of the brilliance of the Republican Party in their ability to paint themselves like as the victim, as if like some kind of this other shadow establishment is keeping them down. It's like it is freaking amazing. I don't know what it is, some kind of Jedi mind control that they have to convince people that, hey, they they are the kind of the persecuted, and they are the minorities, and they're the ones that are being oppressed, right? So it's just this shocking mind control that they have.
Well, it's funny because they go on CNN, Fox News, OAN, and Twitter and talk about how their voices are being silenced. They're on the floor of the Senate or on the floor of the House of Representatives, live on C-SPAN, saying that they're being silenced. It's like, I give anything for you to be silenced. I give anything for you to be silenced. But you have they get in front of a bank of microphones to talk about how they're being silenced. But but he came right out. It's like, yeah, I'm a cross-dresser. Anyways, he is just the best of the best. So this week, President Biden, I don't know, the whole dark Biden thing, I think gets confusing. It's supposed to be a good thing that they're corrupting. Anyways, the whole student loan forgiveness. Yeah. Look, it's a no-win situation. He campaigned on it. And on one side, they're screaming, oh, that's not fair. This is an outrage. This is tyranny. How dare you do this? Ted Cruz saying these uneducated baristas getting, tuition, forgiveness. It's like, wait, they're uneducated, but they're getting college tuition, fun. I mean, look, we won't get into the whole predatory lending. I'll simply say, hitting close to home, the shitty mid-level state school that I went to and graduated in 93 cost $2,000 a year for tuition and fees. The same mid-level state school that my niece graduated 2 years ago, almost 12,000, a little under 12,000. So it went up 6 times. And my state school that I went to in 93 primarily was a teaching college, teaching and nursing, but teaching was the big major there.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And like 4 years before I went there, it was Fitchburg's Teachers College is what it was called. Okay. And so teaching and nursing were the big majors. In 1993.
Wait, so people have to, to become a nurse, not to nurse. Oh, never mind.
Oh no,
I didn't know you needed to go to school to, nurse your babies, but I was about to get kind of excited for you, but because I know how much you like boobies.
Dude, Biff. I mean, it was a 7, almost 8-to-1 girl to guy ratio. I played on the hockey team. Well, I went there to play on the hockey team. I ended up 6 months later being in a touring band. Dude, it was shooting fish in a barrel. Anyway,
that's a coincidence because I went to a school where it was like a maybe 5-to-1 male to female ratio. So yeah, it was awesome,
dude. It literally it was playing the fiddle on the roof as Rome was burning. It was debauchery.
Anyways, while I sustained my long distance relationship, probably a little way too long.
So what ended up happening is I graduate 93, $2,000. The starting teacher salary was about $28,000-$29,000 back then. Yeah. This year, the state, like I said, tuition is $12,000. Right. Now, that's not room and board. That's tuition and fees. Tuition and fees have gone up 6-fold.
Wow, that's
Teacher's salary, a starting teacher salary in Massachusetts is about $37,000-$38,000. Yeah. So it's gone up 50%. At the same time, tuition has gone up 600%. And so and then loan rates also, thanks to George W., I think it was 2004, he ended up, if you went bankrupt, the only thing you couldn't get out of is tax liabilities. Well, he signed a law in 2004, 2005, making it that you couldn't get out of college debt either. So you go bankrupt, and then the same thing. Look, so I have one niece and a boyfriend and her boyfriend who are about $75,000 in the hole, and they're going to take this $10,000 each and put it towards a house. And the money's going right back into the economy. Anyways, so on one side,
but bottom line, you know what? Considering all of the bad spending that's gone on with our tax dollars, I'm sorry, but this should actually help people. You know what?
It isn't even the tax.
I am for anything that helps people.
Wait, this isn't look, too big to fail. So you'll bail out Goldman Sachs, but you won't bail out, Mary Lou, who's who literally for some stupid reason went to a great school to become a teacher and paid $40,000 a year to go to Yale to be a teacher and is now making $36,000. The house that my mom bought in 1974 cost $36,000.
Listen. Yeah, I mean, look, this isn't something that's that's resulting in like the beneficiaries using the money to to do, to do, stock buybacks or something like that, right? I know that this is money that is helping literally it's one of those, and it's kind of funny because I'll be honest with you, I'm not a Biden fan, but when he's, it's hard for me to essentially, poo-poo the things that have kind of been, signed in his, during this, during his presidency, right? Like I can't. How could I poo-poo like the pact, or how could I poo-poo this where it's actually, helping actual real people in a very, very direct way. None of this, trickle down economics bullshit that, that we've been hearing, right? I mean, this is literally money that is going straight to people who is essentially being, negatively, impacted by these, loan dollars. So yeah, and I hear the arguments about, oh, what about me? Whatever. I'm sorry that you didn't get the benefits of it, but you know what?
It's funny.
Why can't you be happy for somebody else?
So on another podcast, we will talk. I didn't even realize till I saw a list the other day. He has actually signed more legislation in the first 2 years than any president in history. And it's good stuff. Yeah. Like the Green New Deal isn't everything that we hope, but it's the best that he could get through. The gun thing. Anyways, I'm not going to go off on that. Yeah. But on one hand, people are bitching that you shouldn't have done it. And on the other hand, his own party's, you didn't do enough. It should have been total forgiveness. And hold on a second. I wanted to just say it was a campaign promise. So he's living up to a campaign promise. So it was a no-win anyways. But management had the best take. She's like, you know what? My mom died of dementia 2 years ago. And if they come up with a cure for dementia that's going to save somebody else's mom, it's like me saying, no. My mom died because this cure wasn't out there. And that's not fair that I lost my mom and that there's now this medicine that's going to help your mom. Fuck that. Your mom gets to die of dementia too.
No, that's classic, right? I mean, it really is. It's really like, it's like as if this world is full of those grandpas. Well, things weren't that easy in my days. You know what? You probably wish that it was that easy in your day, right? I mean, it's like, things happen where, not everybody gets benefits of everything, right? But why can't you be happy that people who aren't, doing great or who are going to be helped by this are going to be helped by this? Why can't you be happy?
So who the fuck are you rooting for? Are you rooting for the big banks? Are you rooting for, like I said, again, the same college in 30 years has gone up.
I'm on team 6%. Interest loans.
Right. It's like, I don't want everybody.
I'm on team interest.
Well, it's the same thing with the healthcare thing. It's like when people were fighting against Obamacare, it's like, wait a minute, you're fighting. People aren't getting.
Yeah.
People who need an EpiPen are getting an EpiPen now versus not paying their rent to get an EpiPen.
That is a classic one of exactly what you just said earlier, where, you know what, it's not fully what I wished it had, but you know what's great? What's great about the ACA is that it's one of the few things that I could specifically point my finger at the terms of the bill that helps me in a direct way, because I am able to now keep my son on my insurance until he's 26, and I could not do that with my other son, because as soon as he turned 18, I couldn't, the insurance was, we had to basically pay for his insurance. I had to pay out of pocket for his insurance after he turned 18. Whereas for my son, hey, I could keep him on my insurance until he's age 26. That 8 years is, I don't know how people don't realize how immense that is.
No, Biff, look, I don't feel any shame in telling this story. I've told it so many times. I'll tell it on the podcast. My significant other in 2006 gets pregnant. 2006, 2007, because he was born September 2007. We didn't have health insurance. I had just started a new company. We didn't have health insurance. She gets pregnant, and we went to everybody. We went to Aetna. We went to Kaiser. We went to Blue Cross Blue Shield. She had a pre-existing condition, so they wouldn't take her.
Wow. Yeah, right. Okay.
That's being pregnant.
Yeah.
Being pregnant was a pre-existing condition.
That's correct. That is correct. Yes. Well, yeah. So yeah.
But if you look at if you look at what pre-existing conditions are, dude, it's disgusting. The Trump administration 3 times at the height of COVID went to the Supreme Court trying to get COVID listed it as like a long-term pre, so it wouldn't be covered by insurance because they didn't know. Anyways, I'm sidebar. So in 2007, I have a decent job. I started a new company. I'm doing okay. And it's not that we couldn't afford health insurance. Nobody would insure us. And so a friend said, well, you guys aren't married. She has a different last name. She should just go get on Cal Health or whatever it is. So she goes and signs up for that. And it was hard because she signs up and they're like, oh, well, here's all your fruit tips and all this. And she's like, no, we don't need any of that. Like, save it for somebody who does need it. We don't want to take it. We just want to be able to get into a fucking doctor's, because otherwise you can't. And doctors won't see you without insurance. Even if you want to pay out of pocket, you cannot get, a baby doctor. So anyways, long story a little longer, he ends up being born at UCLA at what's considered the second best children's hospital in America. He is born with a birth defect that required the
birth defect, aside from the fact that you're one of the parents.
I'm one of the right, exactly.
The other birth defect.
Well, he had a bunch. He had a bunch coming right out of the gate. He was he's allergic to a bunch of shit. He was tongue-tied. But the big thing is he was born with a club foot. He had a surgery.
Oh my God. I didn't know he was tongue-tied, because the irony of a child being tongue-tied that is born, with your genes is just
right.
Holy crap. Anyway,
everything.
I digress.
So he did. He had a small procedure for being tongue-tied, but the club foot, and then every week for 9 months, he had to have a new cast put on every week. We had to go to
right.
Dude,
yeah.
That would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the guy who performed the surgery, Dr. Oppenheim, he is the guy who created this surgery, and he's only at UCLA half the year, because the other half of the year he's a touring lecturer showing other doctors around the world how to do this. Dude, not only did we get it at the best hospital with the best doctor, it cost us nothing. It cost the taxpayers of California, and it only cost the taxpayers of California because this was pre-ACA and a pre-existing condition. Yeah. So all the fucks that didn't want, people to get this dumbass, the whole. Anyways, look, Biden has signed so many great things. Yeah. It was a campaign promise; he had to do it. But anyway,
you know what? Trump signed that Cruelty to Animals Act.
You know what else Trump signed? you know what else Trump signed, and it's been making the rounds. And it's a great clip, and I have forwarded on the Carnival Personnel site. Yeah. He's talking, and this is at the height of lock her up and what about her emails? Yeah. He signs an executive order, like quadrupling the penalty for mishandling of classified information.
And now Rand Paul wants to pull it. It's great. It's like
he doesn't want to. He's not saying for selling it. He's not saying he's saying for mishandling it. It's like minimum 5 years in jail for mishandling classified information.
Well, to be fair though, right? I mean, I think we still have to finish the Hillary email investigations, right? I mean,
we'll get to the bottom of that, right? Yeah,
so we'll have to do that first, right?
You mean other than the investigation where she got called in front of the Senate and testified for 11 hours and never once took the fifth?
Listen. I mean, but to be fair, right? She's only done it once, and we had 2 Benghazi investigations, so maybe it's time that we had our second, Senate hearing on that whole thing. I think it's maybe time, right?
And the great thing, we're sidebarring, big shock, is a whole Hunter Biden laptop. It's like, first of all, like the statute of limitation, had he done anything while he was vice president, has long exceeded. Second of all, Ivanka and Jared made $5 billion over the last 5 years. So I think you should fucking pump the brakes on even if Hunter Biden is guilty of everything that they said, the fact that
so I mean, I kind of believe that he probably did something, because I think that's what politicians do, right? Oh, yeah, you know what? This is gonna, I'm gonna go ahead and try to, pull something for my family, right? But I think there's a good chance that there was something there, but it's completely different compared to when you're actually in the administration, like, Ivana was, right? And
And,
then to have
share it,
influence,
right?
right, and then to have influence over China, and then at the same time they're having these negotiations with China and everything else, that she actually has like a freaking ridiculous number of trademarks and patents, passed, kind of set up in China at the same time that she's in office, right?
The great thing is, like, where's the first trip as president that he took? Where's the first place that he got on? He goes to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
The place that just gave Jared $2 billion.
No, you don't understand. Saudi Arabia is one of our top allies.
Oh, no, without a doubt. The first G7 summit at the pre-summit dinner, Donny Four Scoops is running late, so Ivanka sits at his place. It says, Donald Trump.
Right.
And he sits next to Xi Jinping. It was the very next day after that dinner that, lo and behold, China had seven trademarks that she had been held up in Chinese court for like 4 years. Lo and behold, the very next day. So, anyways, I want to get back.
Coincidence.
So are the walls closing in? Because have you been following? Look, give me a second.
Yeah.
Have you been following the Georgia election thing?
Not beyond just the regular stuff, right? Like, essentially, is that actually being there's kind of like some. I just saw some stuff in regards to the Georgia election investigation.
Okay, right. No, it's been big. Like Rudy Giuliani tried to get out of it.
Right.
And he said he was too old and sick to fly, and the judge said, take a bus. So he showed up this week. Brian Kemp, the governor, has been compelled, and a judge upheld him testifying to the grand jury.
Okay.
Lindsey Graham. He was supposed to testify last week, but he doesn't have to testify for a couple of weeks. He's trying to get it to the Supreme Court. Anyways, that is moving forward. I think the Georgia thing is the most important thing, and this is why. Because whatever happens with January 6th, whatever happens with these classified documents, if anything happens where he gets charged by the DOJ, and let's face it, we're 2 years away from a presidential election. If a Republican gets elected and Donny Four Scoops is on trial, what's going to happen the very first day?
Absolutely right. I mean, we're going to.
What happens in Georgia? You can't pardon state crimes.
No, but it depends on who the Georgia governor is, right?
Well, that's true too. That's true.
Right.
But either way, if Georgia, if they can flip Georgia somehow, if they can flip Georgia, then he cannot get pardoned from the state crime. But on one hand, the Georgia thing. On the other hand, the New York City, it's a civil case, but that fraud case, don't forget, his side 45-year CPA just pled guilty.
Right. Yeah.
In exchange for testifying against him. So that he's going, the guy who knows where all the bodies are buried, and I'm not just talking Ivanka, he knows where all the other bodies are buried.
I will say something. I will say one thing about all these other things. It's like, for a guy who's supposed to be like a really good businessman, like all these people that kind of support him say he's a good businessman. It's like, why does he have to why does he have to nickel and dime to get his money? Like, I mean, seriously, like, I don't think that he was the first guy to figure out that if I buried a member of my family at my golf course, that I could essentially, relieve myself of tax obligations and, whatever financial liens and everything else, right, in New Jersey. I don't think he's the first to think of that, but I think that the other rich guys were confident enough in their ability to be rich to say that, I don't think I'm going to cross that line, because I don't need to, because I'm rich and I'm good at being rich. And I think, right?
How many send me money emails does Jeff Bezos send out every day?
That's true. Well, yeah.
I mean, literally, Elon Musk, he's a piece of shit, but have you got any, help me with my legal costs?
Right. All those dudes, right? I mean, they're kind of, there's a difference between the legit rich guys and then the kind of the poser rich guys that, whatever.
Dude, it's hilarious. But so on one hand, you got the Georgia election, you got the New York City fraud, that the J6 people are coming back early. and that they're having hearings this week, and not hearings. They're doing witness statements this week. They came back early for break.
Oh, okay.
And the upside, look, people forget. Let's not call her a hero. Let's not say she's a saint.
You're talking about the
Liz Cheney.
You're talking about kind of, she's that is the one thing that really, really bothers me when people refer to Dick Cheney as Darth Vader, because you're fucking saying that Princess Leia is Liz Cheney. It's like, yeah, fuck that.
No, exactly.
Yeah, fuck that.
So, but the funny thing is, like, people forget. And the past 4 weeks before the break, she voted against protecting women's right to protect themselves. She voted against baby formula. She voted against gun control. She voted against everything. So, and she's a piece of shit. But because she lost the election, dude, she is going to fucking burn them down to the. She doesn't want to take down Trump. She wants to take down, because she said she started a pact to take down Ted Cruz, and I think, is it Holly, or is it, she name checked like 3 people, like Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, and Josh Hawley. She's planning on going after. But listen,
I think I will say this. I think that unlike some of the other people, right, who are just kind of like, kind of fucking mindless puppets, I think that I will give Liz Cheney credit for being probably smarter than some of those other people, where I think she, this is just my personal belief. I think she understands that this is an opportunity for her to kind of create a legacy for herself. Right?
Yes. And when she runs in 2024, she will run as the, hey, I did what was right for America, not my party, for my country.
But not even that. I think that she is kind of seeing that this is like an important moment in history that's going to be in the history books. And she doesn't want to be like on the, like, say, how all these people were on the wrong side of the McCarthy hearings?
Yep.
He's not going to be that person that's going to be on the wrong side of this whole fiasco. I think that she understands that. So
I think the walls with the January 6th thing are starting to close in. But there's classified information. And so it was 3 weeks ago that they executed the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. And every time they turn around and they're like, we want to know why. It's like, well, this is what we didn't want to put it out there, but this is why. Well, we want more information. And every time they demand more information and they put out more information, it only makes them look bad. I
think the worst thing about it is that, when I kind of heard what happened, and I was thinking, the first thing I thought about, and I didn't have any evidence, so I didn't say anything about it, but the first thing I thought about it is this going to be something that fucks with our foreign intelligence? And now it's kind of come out that potentially, right? It's like, I mean, the fact that we've actually we don't have any proof, anything. We don't have anything right now, but if it does come out that we lost foreign, intelligence resources as a result of this irresponsible, management, or even worse, possibly handing over information to the wrong hands, it's like, oh my God, what the fuck are you doing? It's like one of the things that I hear the so-called supporters of that fucking guy say is that, well, in his regime, he strengthened, the military. Yeah. Okay. So you increase military spending. I don't think that's necessarily, strengthening the country, but I mean, if we're losing freaking, foreign, I mean, it's like foreign spies don't fucking grow on trees. I mean, as distasteful as it is, those are freaking valuable resources, and getting a new one in there is just so hard.
So I will say this, as somebody who works closely with the military on a number of different things, most of the people I deal with lean Republican. But I will say all the ones that I deal with who lean Republican over the last 5 years has been like, dude, he can't be pulling people out of Germany. Dude, what the whole thing with Qatar. I mean, the fact that Qatar is the most U.S. friendly country. I mean, the 2 biggest military bases we have outside of U.S. soil are in Qatar. And when he and with Saudi Arabia did that, that blockade, all the military people that I deal with, a place I lived for 3 years, all these military people I'm friends with are all like, dude, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the same thing
100%.
when they started to withdraw troops in Germany, everybody's like, dude, Putin's been begging for that for years. Why are you, when he threatened to not, support NATO? It's like, no, he didn't make us more. Did he make Raytheon more money? Yes. Did he, at the people at the top profit? Yes, they did. But the people who actually, and there was an article that came out about 8 months ago that I was reading that somebody sent me. About 8 months ago, it came out about the number of intelligent assets that have stopped working with us, and that recruitment is at an all-time low, and people are trying to figure out why people won't work with us anymore. I mean, don't forget the first day in office, he had Kislyak, a known Russian spy, in the Oval Office, and he was showing shit off. So anyways, I think the walls are closing in.
Well, I'll say this, the way things have gone in this, this country, I am not going to, I am just going to say, until I actually see something.
Perp Walk.
I mean, something concrete, I'm just not going to celebrate anything.
No, you can't until there's a Perp Walk. And I, the question always has been, what is a bridge too far for these people? If he sold intelligence to an adversary, if he sold intelligence that resulted in death.
But I mean, this is a country that now doesn't consider Russia. There are people in this country that don't consider Russia an adversary. It's like, are you fucking out of your mind? I mean, seriously?
Right. No, but if it comes out, he sold classified information. Anyways, but I think the walls are closing in. But again, I'm not getting too excited. Same thing with everything else. But it is interesting, speaking of Russia, that they're having recruitment problems, and that this war in Ukraine has dragged on so much longer.
It's kind of interesting. They're having the Desert Storm moment,
right.
And to be fair, it's very different. It's very different from what happened in the U.S. But I remember in 1992 where these people who joined the military thinking that I'm joining the military so I could get college funding, and things. I didn't know I was going to have to fight in a war. Right? This isn't what I signed up for. Actually, that's what you did sign up. But at least there was no deception on the part of the U.S. government, right? It was just just happened as circumstance. Versus the Russians who said, yeah, these are just exercises and blah blah blah, and their domestic misinformation is starting to backfire. It's like, yeah, why are these people coming back in body bags? It's like,
right. I mean, you can hide the first wave of body bags, but 6 months later.
Sure, yeah. I mean,
so with all that good stuff, what do we got going on in crime this week?
You know what? I did not look. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I did not post, even though I had some worthy posting. Like one of my favorites happened last week, where there was in Tokyo, they were having this serious problems with people who are essentially, flagrantly ignoring the signs regarding, crosswalks, where people were jaywalking at these crosswalks when, the light was not green and was causing these, dangerous situations. So
is that why you left Japan?
No.
Okay. All right.
There was another,
because it sounds horrible. It sounds horrible.
Yeah,
that would make me get up. But
it was really because the unmanned, pot sticker store was getting, there. That was the reason why I left, because I cannot live in a country where an unmanned, retail store, people are stealing, or this one dude is stealing from this unmanned, retail store. So that was really what did it.
Well, we did have a Japanese themed U.S. crime story that we talked about on the text exchange. If you want to bring that up,
maple. No, it was hilarious. One of my friends who, basically after getting his degree, went back to Minnesota. He actually works for 3M, but he lives in that Minneapolis area, and so yeah, in Edina there was a major this crime reported where this maple tree was stolen, out of the, and I don't know if the maple tree was actually buried in the ground, which would have been impressive, or if it was in one of those those landscaping pots kind of a thing, those. So I kind of like to believe that the perpetrators just stole a maple tree that was in a pot and just put it on the back of their pickup truck and took off with it because it's valued at like whatever $800.
Just to be clear, Japanese maple.
Japanese maple, yes, they're beautiful.
And when you posted that, I said, all I hear is that's a Japanese tree taking away a job from a good old American tree.
Yeah.
And then John Taylor, says acre tree. It's like, those are our text thread has made it impossible for any of us to run for any office anywhere.
Thank goodness none of us have any kind of political ambitions.
Ever. So let's get on to sport. I didn't even know, I guess the last preseason NFL games have been played.
I had my fantasy football draft this morning.
Oh,
I missed the first 2 rounds because I was making lunch for the people who were coming over to my house. So,
the first 2 rounds, like anyone will tell you, the first 2 rounds aren't the important rounds, anyways.
Yeah,
like all the talent is in the look. As a Patriot fan, I can tell you the real talent is the last pick of the 6th round. That's the sweet spot.
What the sad part is like. There was a time where I really, really, really cared about this stuff, and I can't believe that I did. But I used to care about this stuff a lot, and then I know exactly when I stopped caring, and it's kind of weird, but it's the point where I stopped caring was that has nothing to do with fantasy football. It has to do with football players and their off-field, transgressions, and it was actually the Ben Roethlisberger rape allegation.
Yeah.
And then I said, why am I caring so much about, and so that's the moment that I stopped giving a crap about my fantasy football. And I've just been doing it as a social thing, but I really don't care if I win or lose. And the weird irony is that like I would go through, and I don't want to be that guy that just, doesn't bother to update the roster every week. I don't want to ruin it for other people in the league that might actually care. So I do maintain my roster. And what I ended up doing was that for like the last 4 or 5 years, my projected finish was like either like, in the bottom 3. But then all I do is every week I'll say, oh, this guy looks good in the waiver wire. I'll drop this guy and add this guy. And like, I've actually won a championship and gotten to 2 finals in the last 5 years when I really don't give a crap. And I'm thinking, I don't really care, but okay.
I mean, I did fantasy for a few years and people gave me a hard time, but I'm like, I'm only going to pick Patriots or people who left the Patriots that I like. If they left under good,
so if I'm going to pick Wes Welker kind of shit.
Right, exactly. Or Shane Vereen.
Yeah, right.
That kind of stuff.
Right, yeah.
And it's surprising how much I won because if Brady threw a touchdown pass to Gronk, you know what I mean? It was like,
I will say, like, and it's just getting worse, right? Like, I mean, this like Deshaun Watson, who's like one of the biggest stars in the NFL going into this year, and then all his, it's and it's in every sport, and so it's one of those good news, bad news things where. Bottom line is this shit has been happening for years and years and years and years, right? And they're finally being called on it, and it's and I think that's the way it should be, right? It's like, what, I don't care who these people are, right? Women should not be getting raped, because
well, the Bills just released their punter, for those allegations,
right. Yeah,
no. So, I mean, sports is starting, and we're not close to where it needs to be, but there's a line, and look, I know. For some reason, and it's a weird thing, for some reason, I know more Steeler fans than any other fan group other than the Patriots. You know what I mean? I know a couple Raider fans. I know a Green Bay fan. But I have a dozen friends who are Steeler fans. There isn't one of them who didn't have real issue with Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I mean, this is in one way, this is fucking a great year because I no longer have to root for Roethlisberger succeeding. The dude is now gone.
And we're changing topics a little bit, but the whole sports world is waking up. You and I follow a lot of hockey sites,
Right,
and
right.
and look, I've fallen down this rabbit hole. This one guy posts a different hockey card every day, and sometimes it's obscure players and this and that. But I just saw, and I don't know if I saw it because you commented on it or somebody we both follow commented on it, but there is now this wave to, hey, yeah, Bobby Hull was a great player. Let's take him off the fucking pedestal. I mean, he
Yeah.
serious. He beat women, not just his first wife, but it seems
Right.
every woman in his life. And it's like, yeah, you know what? We know, these awful people are out there, but we cannot let's stop praising these people. You know what I mean?
I mean that really started about. I think it was started a little bit before the pandemic, where there was enough pressure placed on the Blackhawks, where I think he had some kind of a role as like one of those team alumnus
Ambassadors, yeah,
kind of a thing, right? And they took him off of that, like whatever 2018 or 19 or so, and it's been going for a while. But it's a combination. I mean, there definitely is the you know beating Bobby Hall's mom thing, right? That's the Brett Hall's mom thing. I'm sorry, Brett Hall's mom thing. There's all that. There's and obviously there's been some strained that relationship between Brett Hall and Bobby Hall has been its own thing, and then the whole thing about Hitler had some good ideas, he just went too far. That comment didn't go over great, right? So yeah. But
hey, Hitler was a vegetarian who didn't smoke. Why do we dwell on the negative? Like we always just want to dwell.
All I'm going to say is that some dude named Bobby Orr put out a full page ad paid by his own money in the Hartford newspaper to support that fucking guy in the last election,
dude.
He's the only hope for this country. It's like,
dude, that the comment that killed me was he's the perfect teammate, dude. He has thrown everybody under the bus at the first sign of trouble his entire life. Like other than Ivanka, he would throw his sons under a bus if he can even remember he has two sons. But no, I want it. The day that came out, I didn't see it at first, but I had about a dozen and a half people, and my first thought was, oh shit, he died. And then when I read it, I'm like, oh shit, I wish he died. I would have rather have him have died than that. But yeah, kind of transitioning out of sport, but staying on sport, getting into TV. I watched the Manti Te'o documentary on Ness, not on Ness, and on Netflix. Dude, I never thought I'd feel bad for the guy because I didn't know the whole story.
I only know part of the story, and I know only the weird parts. But I think there was some kind of a catfishing involved.
He got catfished. He 100% got catfished, and the person who catfished him honestly called him the day his grandmother died and said she was in an accident and she's dead.
Yeah.
And so he literally thought, and he had never met her. Yeah. He never met this woman. Yeah. But dude, it's great. It's a 2-part documentary. It's called The Untold Story or Untold Manti Te'o. And he's somebody who he was a finalist for the Heisman.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be one of the first 5 or 10 picks and drops to the end of the second round. I mean, look,
the whole thing, definitely that whole,
right. I mean, look, he ended up having a great career. He ended up having a 10+ year career.
I don't know about a great career, but
well, dude, what's the average career in the NFL?
Well, what I'm saying is that I think that there was this expectation that he was going to be, basically before all that weirdness started happening, people are expecting him to be one of those guys that is like a generational linebacker, right? And he was never close to that, is what I'm saying. Right?
Let's put it like this: he had a much longer, much better career than Bosworth.
Well, that's true. Well, that's definitely true. But so I basically I will say that even though I'm not a fan of Notre Dame football because fucking Notre Dame football,
Catholics,
but what?
Catholics.
Well, not I don't care about that. It's just Notre Dame football anyway. But he's a Hawaii guy. I root for the Hawaii guys, and man, it just broke my heart.
Hey, a Mormon. The Mormons are big in Hawaii.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, they're huge in Hawaii.
I did not know that.
One of the things that's kind of hilarious is that there is this thing. One of the biggest tourist attractions in Honolulu, or not Honolulu, in the island of Oahu, where Honolulu is this thing called the Polynesian Cultural Society. Okay, where you're kind of in this northern part of the island, and then you see these these great shows with these you see these Hawaiian luau's, you see these Tahitian luau's, you see and then you have a buffet and enjoy a wonderful night of wonderful dinner. That's actually a Brigham Young BYU Hawaii campus outpost where their hospitality, they're basically their hotel management kind of a division runs. There's basically it's kind of like largely student run. So yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting. No, that so what else I watched this week? I watched the Neil Gaiman Sandman. The 10 episodes on Netflix.
Well, I'm glad you're supporting it because I'm a bad friend in not supporting that. One of my best friends in college, his sister actually manages Neil Gaiman when he goes on tour and stuff like that. So he does all of the handling of the the local logistics and stuff like that. So I've been really bad about not just that, but there he had the other one. Right?
We're big Neil Gaiman fans.
Yeah.
I mean my son, my second son, Squishy, his name comes from a Neil Gaiman Stardust.
Okay.
Coraline is one of our favorite movies.
Yeah. Stardust, fucking underrated movie. That's a lovely movie. That's totally underrated.
The funny thing is, so we go to see that, and it's before the oldest kid is born. It's just before he's born, and we knew his name. I knew his name when I was 10 years old. It was going to be, Luke or Grayson. It was always going to be Luke or Grayson. Yeah. It was always going to be Luke. Yeah. But then I go and I marry a Korean girl, and I'm like, yeah, most likely not going to have dirty blonde hair and blue eyes. Why don't we go? He's probably going to have black hair. Let's go with Grayson. And then, but just a month before he's born, we're watching Stardust, and I walk out of the theater, and I'm like, holy fuck. I love that name, Tristan. Yeah. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I've never heard that name. Yeah. She's like, oh my God, ever since Legends of the Fall, I've loved that name, Tristan. It's a great name. She
Legends of the Fall. There was a character, Tristan, in that movie.
Brad Pitt's character.
I have no idea. I don't know if I actually watched that movie or not. I know the movie, but
Brad Pitt's character. Pitt's character.
Okay.
And she's like, oh my God, I've always loved that name. She goes, I had it on my list, but I never suggested. I never thought you would like it. She's like, are you rethinking Grayson? I'm like, no. But if we have another kid, we're naming him Tristan. 3 years later, we have another kid.
Yeah, like Stardust was a movie that it's one of those. I watched it on a plane, and it's like one of those deals where, normally I like to sleep on the plane, and I couldn't, so I said I'll just freaking watch the movie. And I watched the movie and said, holy fuck, this is a fucking fantastic movie. Why did I not even know about this movie? And then, obviously, was it Claire Danes was in it, I think.
Claire Danes, right? who was the pirate captain, the cross-dressing pirate captain?
Right.
The mafia guy. He's always in, not Al Pacino.
No. De Niro.
Robert De Niro. Oh, he's so great in it. He's so great in it.
Claire Danes is one of my, she's one of those actresses that I think that really deserves a little bit more, whatever. That's another thing. But yeah, so I just watched it on the plane and said, oh my God, this is a fantastic movie, so yeah.
Yeah, who played Tristan in Stardust?
It's Colin is
Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox, right.
Who goes on to Daredevil.
Yeah.
Which is funny because
he doesn't look like him anymore.
Well, this week somebody asked him, it's like, because would you have been upset if the MCU recasted Daredevil? And he said, I would have gone to my basement, put on my costume, and fought whoever they hired for the role. Which I thought was just awesome. Because usually people are like, if they went in a different direction, I played him for 4 years. It was great. It's like, no, motherfucker, that's my role.
Yeah.
But anyways, getting back to what I'm watching now, Stardust is great. 10 episodes. I haven't seen it yet, but then after the series, Sandman.
Yeah.
They dropped a 2-part, 1 hour, like 2 mini episodes put together that they didn't tell anybody about. Like about a month, about 3 or 4 weeks after they drop the series.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, by the way, we also did this, and everyone said it's great. So I got to wait till management gets back from Chicago. The other thing I'm watching that's really fun, dude, I might be just becoming the biggest football fan. And I mean, football fan as in soccer.
Right.
Ted Lasso is my favorite show ever. Roy Kent is my
but okay.
No, Roy Kent is my all-time favorite character on any show. Roy Kent on the show.
So you're gonna be behind a guy that sends his divorce papers to a woman on stage while she's speaking to an audience.
Who?
Great.
Who
That's
did
the kind
this?
of people. Oh, you didn't hear about the Jason Sudeikis, Olivia?
No. But Roy Kent is the actor, Brett Goldstein.
Right.
Anyway,
I'm just saying,
But this week,
I realize what happened, but still.
this week, I've been watching. I think it's We Are Wrexham, the documentary about Ryan Reynolds buying that soccer team in Wales.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't seen episode 3 yet, but I saw the first 2 episodes. And he buys it with that guy who created Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Mythic
Charlie.
Quest. Not the other one. The other one. I can't remember his name. Anyways, he's also the star of that show Mythic Quest on Apple TV that I love. That's great.
I know that show.
And then we are 2 episodes into She-Hulk. That is great. It's so campy. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's campy and it's fun and it's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it's campy.
Yeah.
But what are you watching?
I actually started watching something old, but Love, Death and Robots. Fantastic.
Oh, do I know that one?
It is on Netflix, I want to say.
I don't know if I started that one. I think that one's on our list, but I don't think we've got to. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it's each episode is its own self-contained episode. It is animated, and it's animated like basically every episode has looked different.
Oh, cool!
And essentially just kind of loosely follows that Love, Death, and Robots theme.
So, I like that.
So each is like essentially I watched it's like whatever 30-minute commitment for each episode. And I'm done, and in that sense, it's great for me.
How long are the credits?
I don't know because it does. That Netflix does that thing,
right?
Blah blah blah. Next episode, and then it goes to the next episode.
Because I looked like there's a new I Am Groot about Baby Groot on, and I'm like, oh, we'll watch this. And the wife's like, oh, let's check out a couple. They're only 8-minute episodes. The episodes are 2.5 minutes long. And then it's honestly 5.5 minutes credits, but that's cool. You got a parenting tip to end on here, Biff?
No, I do not.
My parenting tip is this week. There are no parenting tips. It's the last week of summer vacation, so we told the boys it's like starting yesterday, Sunday, because school starts on Wednesday. We're getting back into 9 o'clock bedtime for one, 10 o'clock for the other. No screens when you go to bed, because they have to get up at 6:30. And it's like, we're gonna spend a couple days getting our bodies ready. But this past week, you do what the fuck you want. Sometimes you just gotta say what the fuck. So my parenting tip is no parenting tip. But that's it for me. So I'll let you bring it home, Biff.
Well, wow, what a week it's been on the news, eh? And so one of the things that I really, really have hope for is the the baby boomers kind of screwed things up. I think we screwed things up quite a bit. And then, even though, the generation after us, kind of screwed things up. But, I kind of have some hope for the millennials. I follow a lot of like say the kids who were victims of the Lakeland shooting, and they've become these activists that have been doing great things. I've seen some like literally in places like Ohio and Pennsylvania where these really super young candidates trying to fight the establishment. And it's just I get I guess I could be pessimist and say this is all gonna suck, or I could be an optimist and say the kids are going to still save this world. So I'm going to go with the optimist mode. And one of the things that I do want to say, and maybe this is a parenting tip that I probably should have mentioned, but I really want all of the kids, the younger generation, to really be involved and really influence the way this country is running. And so, as these in many places, these voting registration things are coming in, and if there's sign for your it has your kid's name on it, I think it's important that they take a look at it. So when you see that mail come in, don't forget.
Standing there right beside you, people you've met before. The youngest one is from high school, and he don't know you no more. Can't be sure, just wait and see. Remember when you're wondering, you've already been best you'll ever be. 20-something who's hungry, impressive lean. 30-something who's longing for you were in your teens. Can't be sure, just wait and see. Remember when you're wondering, you've already been the best you'll ever be. Can't be sure, just wait and see. Remember when you're wondering, you've already been the best you'll ever be. Standing there right beside you, looking listless and bored, just a bit disappointed. People you've met before. Can't be sure, just wait and see. Remember when you're wondering, you've already been the best you'll ever be. Can't be sure,